Hey guys, it's another video. It's another deck profile. This time it's Belo. I've actually been putting this deck off for a while now. I finally put together everything I felt like could work really well with this leader. So let's just get right into it. This is my take on Belo. I know there's a lot of other people running smoothies and crackers and all that, but I feel like the stuff I have in here kind of works better, especially since it has more of a benefit to it. Okay, so of course Belo, it's the red yellow leader for life, of course, 5k and special attribute. Activate main is you can discard a Revolutionary Army type card from your hand, and you can give up to 3 of your Revolutionary Army or trigger type characters with 3000 power during this turn. So pretty much every card in this deck can be boosted by Belo's ability. As long as you trash a Revolutionary Army card. That's why there's more Rev Army cards in this deck than yellow cards. So let's just get right to it. The first card is going to be Inazuma. This is the 4k Inazuma that lets you get Rush if it's at 7k. Of course, it's going to be at 7k because the leader gives it 3k. So usually when you play this guy, you're using the Belo ability because you're not putting 3 Dawn on him. You're just using the ability to get him up to 7k. So he's good if you want to do early game damage from what I've seen, but sometimes I don't really summon him. Sometimes I just wait for the second Inazuma I put in here. We'll get into this one later, but this is the 3-drop Rush Inazuma. Next up, of course, we have Ivankov, the 4-drop 5k. This one lets you pretty much play a free card if this character's at 7k. Of course it's going to be at 7k, right? Because again, leader ability. So pretty much, again, every card in this deck can be boosted by leader ability, so every effect can pretty much go off. So yeah, and it's not hard to put Dawn on this card either. You can put 2 Dawn on him if you want to. So there's 2 easy ways to get this ability off to get a free Revolutionary Army card on the board. Usually you're using this card to play Karasu, or you're using it to play this Inazuma. If not, you're probably playing Lindbergh. If you also notice, I'm not running what's his name, Dorley, the giant one that can crawl through the floor. I'm not running him in this one. I actually switched him out for a different card, and we'll get to that later. So yeah, that is Ivankov. So 7k or more, you get to play 1 Revolutionary Army card, 5k or less, for free. Next up is Karasu. Karasu is really good for this deck. Of course it is, because it's pretty much just locked to Revolutionary Army because of the on-play ability. If you play it and your leader is Revolutionary Army, you give up to one of your leaders or your opponent's leaders or characters minus 1k. The when attacking ability isn't locked to the leader. It's whenever this character has 7k or more power, and when it attacks, you give up to minus 1k to your leader or your opponent's leader character. So not bad if you have 2 of them on board, right? So say you attack with one, you minus 1k, then you summon another one, that's another k, so your opponent's leader is minus 2k. So Karasu is really good, especially if you can keep him alive, and you pretty much will, because you have 3 2ks in this deck that I've put in here. You got a lot of counter, and then not to mention the event down here. So yeah, Karasu is I'd say a main staple for Belo. Next up is Koala. Koala is the 2k, the first 2k. She is just she's just better Gordon. She minuses 3k to my opponent's character, which helps with Lindbergh over here, and I think it also helps with another card in here if I'm not mistaken, unless I took that card out already. I think I took that card out. So yeah, Koala is pretty much, again, just Gordon. She minuses 3k. If my leader is Revolutionary Army, I pretty much just give my opponent's character minus 3k, which helps with Lindbergh, because if you attack with Lindbergh, you can KO anything 3000 power or less. So she's good for the ability, and she's good for the counter. That's it. You don't really swing with her unless you have the Belo ability off that gives her 3k, which boosts her up to 6k. So yeah, you're only really summoning her for the ability, and then you're countering her. So 4 Koalas, 4 2ks. Next up is Bartholomew Kuma. Bartholomew Kuma is okay, right? The on-play is you KO something with 2000 power or less. It can be good for those very, very low blockers. If any of your opponents are playing them, that's about it. The trigger is also good because your leader is mixed color. You get to play it when you trigger it. Hopefully your opponent has 2k or less power on the board. But it's not bad, again, because remember, the leader ability boosts stuff up by 3k. So if you trigger this guy next turn, you attack with him with 5k, because most likely you're probably using Belo's ability to boost some stuff up. If you don't have anything else on board, so you just have another 5k swing with Belo's ability on Bartholomew Kuma. So yeah, he's pretty much here for quote-unquote removal, because the only thing, again, he's removing is those very, very low cards, like those searchers, or not even searchers, the what do I call them? They're because you don't search with them. You just look up to the top 5. The lookers. We'll call them the lookers, like Jewelry Bonnie, Momonosuke, Nami, all that nonsense. So yeah, that's what Kuma's pretty much here for. He's good against Kid. He's good against Law, right? Law's 1 drops and all that, and the 2 drops. So yeah. Next up is Belo Betty herself. Belo Betty is actually the search card. She has her own look card. She's a looker, right? So pretty much you just play her turn 1. You get to look up to 5 cards, grab a Revolutionary Army. Most likely you're grabbing Karasu, of course. Either that, or you're grabbing the Banish Inazuma, or you're grabbing the Ivankov, or probably Lindbergh. Most likely Karasu though. But yeah, that's pretty much it. She's just the searcher for Revolutionary Army. Next up is Lindbergh. Lindbergh is your removal, right? Not to mention it's an 8k attack because of Belo Betty's ability. So he is another card that works if you have him at 7k power or more, which he will be at. And if he's at 7k power or more and you attack with him, you get to KO one of your opponent's characters 3000 power or less. So like it's not bad, right? I just hit my keyboard. It's not bad, right? If you play, say, Koala and you minus something and then attack with him, because Koala minus is 3k, so most likely something will be down to 3k. So Lindbergh is your removal, and not to mention he's a trigger. So yeah, it's a trigger that lets you play him for free if you discard a card. So removal Lindbergh. Next up is Inazuma. This is the 4-drop Inazuma that I replaced my Crackers out for, actually. I felt like Cracker's not bad, right? But I felt like the Banish is better because, not to mention, I don't have to attach Dawn to this Inazuma like I do with Cracker. And all I have to do is give him the 3k from Belo Betty to bring up to 8k. So not to also trash on Cracker, but Inazuma's better. Like Inazuma with the Belo Betty ability, Inazuma has more attack power. He'll be at 8k. Cracker would be at 7. Cracker makes your opponent take 2 lives, and Inazuma makes your opponent trash a life if it goes through. So I will always say that Banish, in my opinion, is a better ability than double attack, because say your opponent's at their last card, double attack means nothing, right? If your opponent's at their last card in their life, double attack means nothing because they don't lose. They just take the card, and then the double attack pretty much just whiffed. It didn't matter, unless you're playing against yellow. But I felt like even if you're going against yellow, I still think Inazuma was better because you don't have to attach Dawn, and he gets Banish. Banish is like a very, I wouldn't say a hard counter to yellow, but it is a better counter than double attack, because instead of giving yellow players more cards in hand, it also Inazuma makes them banish it, which also means if it's a trigger from a yellow player, they can't trigger it. So like I feel like Banish is better. That's why I switched out Inazuma. That's why I switched out Cracker for Inazuma. So, and not to mention, he's counter too. So, right, it's pretty much just Cracker, but with in my opinion, a better ability, and with other abilities, it's a better attacker. So, yeah, 8k attacker and Banish. So can't go wrong with an 8k Banish. Next up is Sabo. So this is the card I actually switched Smoothie out for. So this is the 3-drop Sabo. If you have a Dawn on him and I have 4 or less cards in my hand, this character gains plus 2k. So he'll be a 7k attacker. And most likely, with the experience I've played with this deck in the last 1 to 2 days, I've actually been low on hand because of Ivankov playing stuff for free, not to mention all the triggers you have to just play cards so you're not getting cards in hand. So Sabo is a nice 7k attacker with just 1 Dawn. So it's not bad for a 3 Dawn play. That's why I replaced him out for Smoothie, because Smoothie, you have to take out life from your you have to take out 1 card from your life, and this deck doesn't really revolve on putting life back, which is funny because half of it is yellow. So knowing that, I was like, well, if I'm not getting any life back and I'm just losing stuff and I can't really get the aggression off and I'm not getting the cards I need, I should just try to build aggressively instead of trying to strike myself to be aggressive. So this guy is just aggressive without having to strike yourself. He's the same attack with ability. He'd be the same attack of Smoothie, because Smoothie goes up to 7k, I'm pretty sure, and he goes up to 7k as well. So, and you only need the only way to get this is if you have 4 cards in hand, and I'm pretty sure you will, because you'll be countering stuff to protect like your main cards like Karasu and Ivankov and maybe even Lindbergh, and of course your Banish and Inazuma. So yeah, I feel like this card works pretty well in this because you won't be having a stacked hand, we'll just say that. Alright, on to the yellow cards. So this is, everybody knows what beige does. Beige Big Father, we're calling him Big Father. Big Father, 2k counter, right? You trigger him, you choose a character or a leader your opponent controls, they can attack. Everybody knows what Beige does. Everybody's been running him since OPO4 came out in America. So yeah, if you're a yellow player in America with OPO4 out, you're running this guy now. So yeah, that's what Beige does. Beige, Bouge, whatever. Next up is Moscato. Now Moscato I run in this deck because even though he's a 4k attack, it's still a card you can target with Belo Betty's ability. Because it doesn't just have to be a Revolutionary Army card you boost, it can also be a trigger type character. So not to mention, this is another card you can have with Banish. You only need 1 Dawn on him, and he'll be an 8k swing Banish. So not to mention, you have Inazuma, right? You have 2 8k Banish swingers, and that's great against Yellow, because again, Yellow really relies on their life. Their whole thing is life gain, life manipulation, triggering stuff from life. So having 2 8k attackers with Banish out against like a Yellow is really good. And it's a card you can trigger as well, because again, it has a trigger. You just play him for free, pretty much. Just trash something you don't want in your hand. So another way to get Banish off, pretty much, is why Moscato is in here. And it's just good. Banish is good. I don't know what else to tell you. Lastly, I just added a Satori in here, right? Satori is a nice 5k body. You're mostly playing him from trigger because he is also the 2k. So like if you don't have him on board, that's because you haven't pulled him from trigger. You're never really like raw summoning Satori. You're only playing him from trigger, in my experience anyway. But I feel like that's just how it works. I feel like that's the better way to play Satori, is because he's a 5-drop card for only 5k damage. So you're only playing him if you trigger him. But again, if you do trigger him next turn, you just Belo Betty, I can't say her name, dude. Belo Betty, her ability, and then give him 8k. So he's at 8k now. So he's just there to fit the trigger. And he's there to fill in more yellow, right? And again, it's a trigger, so you can boost it with Belo Betty, you can trigger him from life. So he's just a body on board, or if you have him in hand, you're only using him for 2k. You're only ever using him for 2k if he's in your hand. So yeah, that's what Satori is here for, pretty much. You could probably switch him out for some other things if you wanted to. I don't really know what else you could switch him out for. In my opinion, if you wanted to switch him out, I'd say switch him out for like another trigger body. So like you could switch him out for I guess this guy, right? That's a trigger body. You could switch him out for pretty much anything with trigger, because it doesn't matter if they're Revolutionary Army, because Belo Betty's ability says or trigger cards. So as long as it's a trigger, you can work. So you can give it to, you know, Arashi now because he's out now, and Nekomamushi. You can give it to Denjiro. Anything with the trigger, pretty much. It doesn't even have to be yellow. It could be red. So you could switch him out for another card that's more, I guess, affordable. Maybe even Perospero if you wanted to. You could switch him out for Perospero, but I feel like he's the best one because oh my gosh, I can't speak. Not also is he a 5k body, he's also a 2k counter. So I feel like he's the best one for this placement, I guess you could say. You could play like, I don't even know. I feel like you could try to run something in here. Like something crazy, like you could probably put the homies in here with Big Moms if you could somehow find a way for that. But yeah, that's why Satori's in here. Can't really say. If you can figure out what you can switch him out for, by all means switch him out, but he's mostly here because of the 2k. Alright, and lastly, this is the only event card I run. This is Emporio Tension Hormone. This is the move that Emporio uses to change people into women, I'm pretty sure. So this is a counter. It gives leaders or characters 3,000 power, and then you get to play a Revolutionary Army card for with 5,000 power or less for free. Not to mention the trigger's not bad too. You get to trigger it, and then it's pretty much the second part of the normal effect. You just play one card instead of getting the 3k. So the trigger's not bad. If you trigger it in life, you just get the second part of the card. If you have it in hand, you get the 3k, and you get to play a free card. So it's not bad. You're mostly using this card to play like the Ivankov or the Karasu, in my own experience. You could probably play one of the Inazumas or probably Lindbergh to set up for that removal or the banish. But it's only for a Revolutionary Army card, so you can't summon any yellow cards. But you can summon everything else. So that's why I only run Emporio Tension Hormone, because there are other Revolutionary Army cards you can run in here. There's stuff like 4,000 Brick Fist, there's Fire Fist, Sabo's Fire Fist, that's why it's Revolutionary Army. But yeah, I feel like this is the best one you could be running. If you really want to add life manipulation because it's half yellow, you could run Sovereignty, you could run Thunder Bago, I think was one of them. You could run Narikaba or Arrow, but I feel like since this is half red, you're embracing the red more instead of the life manipulation because of Belo Betty's ability. You're embracing the swing wide ability. So you're not really life manipulating. That's why I have cards in here that are yellow that don't really worry about life manipulation. It's just if I trigger it, they can't attack. If I trigger it, I play it for free. Next turn, I swing for 8k banish. And then I have another 8k body on the board and a 2000 counter. So yeah, this card gives you the plus 3k you play any other Revolutionary Army. This deck will still probably be in the works since I don't really know every card that's coming out in OPO 6. OPO 5, I'm still learning some of the other cards, but I feel like this deck right here is kind of balanced for me to understand and get good chemistry off with all the other cards. There are a lot of other Belo Betty decks out there. I hope that the one that you find fits you. I hope that this one makes you interested in playing Belo Betty, and I hope this is somewhat helpful, and I hope that you can find ways to make this even better. That's pretty much it. So that's Belo Betty in a nutshell.